от сигарет кружится, катясь в споры, тонкий английский лед, под ним кипящее море. Рюмка на полпальца, где-то усталая печень, но он опять рвется в зал, как будто последняя встреча. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Где-то в Багдаде жара тонет в сарказме и прозе. Он пишет, как режет ножом, по мифам на белой бумаге. В студиях, в старых барах, в маленьких залах кампусов он ставит под роспись богов и веру сдает под авансом. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Дело слабее, голос сипит, но шутка выходит точнее. Он поднимает стакан и говорит: поверим, кого соберет скорее. Публика держит дыхание, он не дает ей надежд, только упрямая да к сомнению и крови. И следуй смерть. Честное вино разума обжигает, но будет спящий каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал.
This land was made for you and me. That includes our poor and hungry. If you want to join the fight, come stand with us on the
Well, sorry, folks, we couldn't make it there on time, unfortunately.
Well,
nature called, and Dave had to go to the bathroom. So, we got it.
Let me say what. Now, let me ask. This is serious now.
Oh, shit.
I leave. I go to Europe. I come back, and if possible, Brian is in worse shape than when I left. He's got this idea experiment, and let's just go with it. And for 15 minutes, he's been trying to locate what to do. And there's an easy solution to that, which I think you should all have you and your friends email him or text him or call him if it's after 3 a.m. and just say, if you're going to do something new, try it out before you do it. Now, to me, that's a logical approach. I think to most people it is. But apparently, for your friend, Brian, who now has the camera off himself because he's so embarrassed, I don't know what to say. I have no idea what to say. He can't use work as an excuse. He hasn't worked for months now, or at least a couple weeks.
Not months. We should say a few weeks.
A few days. I don't know.
Although I did have a dream this morning that I did have to go back to work, so that wasn't fun at all.
Well, you should go back to work because obviously you're not successful doing this. But whatever.
Well, this was a failure. Dave did not have to go to the bathroom, actually. Though sometimes he does, but in this case, he didn't. But let's just say he did, as it were. All right. So first of all, let me introduce the show first, and then we'll get back to that guy.
I mean, why should we introduce the show? Because probably 500 or 1,000 people have left because you didn't bring it in on time.
All right. So this is Divided We Stand, and you're at the right place if you're thinking politics. That's right. This is Divided We Stand on Facebook and on YouTube. We are an unmonetized channel on YouTube, which means that essentially you get premium when you watch this channel because there are no advertisements, no nothing. Okay, so you're saving yourself $22 a month. Joey just sent me a nasty little message. So Joey, it's time for your bedtime, I think. Yeah, something like that. But yes, and you can also find us on Facebook. The group page is Divided We Stand, and I think you'll enjoy that. We have a very, very popular Facebook group page. It's still growing, folks.
But trust me, Brian has time to mess that up too.
Yeah, I'm messing this camera shit up. This is an old camera I had that was 4K, but it's not a great camera. But
so what you're telling me, not only are you using a new system tonight, but you're using a camera which obviously
that I don't think had anything to do with it. I hope it had nothing to do with it. But no, I don't.
Is that true? Are you using it also an unfamiliar camera?
Well, if I want to say unfamiliar, I did use it about 3 years ago.
Okay.
It's a Logitech 304
So for 3 years, it's been sitting idle, and for some strange reason, you decide to use it tonight. So I have to ask.
Well, no, it was there, for the last 2 weeks. I just decided tonight to try it.
Right. And notice what you said. You decided to try it as you're supposed to be putting on a live show. Right. Now, again, let me ask the people. If I were listening to this show right now, I'd be so angry at Brian Weinstein for his inability to care about you enough to either use a camera that he knows how to use, that hasn't been sitting around getting dusty for 3 years, or would let you know that he was doing a whole brand new thing with Zoom and Ecamm, which will be better. But unfortunately, he just decided, I guess he could snap his fingers and off it would go. It reminds me a little bit about a person we'll be talking about tonight. That would be the President of the United States. This is like something he would do, but okay.
Yeah. Don't compare me to him, okay? I don't need that.
Well, so it is something he would do, though.
Well, I could see him failing like I did, but he wouldn't know how to use this shit, okay? We know that.
Point.
He would not know how to use this shit.
No, that's my point, failing. Why don't you touch it a couple more times?
Well, it's in a very precarious position. It's not like locked in where it should be. It's
a camera that you haven't used for 3 years.
Hey, look, the show's for free here. This is the best we can do, you know?
Wow.
All right. We'll see. Your blurry cam. Mine is just too detailed.
Yeah, no, mine is crystal clear. I think
it's like a blurry microscope. I think if people put in commentary, they'd say it's a little bit blurry, but it's fine. It's fine.
Where's that?
I don't know.
Ryan's picture.
You are at. I can tell you right now. Now I hope. Are you at 720?
I hope what you're saying, Veg, is Brian's picture on the screen, not Brian's picture regularly.
Now, it's what you're saying is, yeah, I'm using a 4K, but it's not a really good one like you have, Veg. It's one of these digital ones that you just plug in. But I investigated it and I liked it to a degree, but if you notice, like everything behind me is very, very crisp, and your good type of 4K camera, it has that blurring effect in the back, and that's much, much nicer. And I'm not going to invest in that right now. Not with
Oh no, of course not. You don't care enough about the people who.
Oh, I do care, but it is a money issue. I'm retired now,
a money. Oh Jesus God, money issue. Okay. I bet you spent money on underwear.
I need to buy some more underwear, actually.
See, there you are. You're just totally falling down. You have shitty underwear. You have
all right. Well, no, it's not shitty. It's very clean. My dog would get to it. If it drops, he just rips it apart, and that's that. So I can't blame anybody but myself. In any case, Dave, you've been away in Europe. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes, I have.
Your trip and why you went there and whatnot?
Well, just real quickly. It's not that, not that important, but it was nice. As I mentioned before, our granddaughter, Audrey, graduated high school, and Judy and I told her that upon graduation, we would take her anywhere she wanted to go in the world. Originally, she was considering Japan, and I was excited because I like Japan. Mm-hmm. But then she said she wanted to go to Japan Disney, and in her words, she said, and Grandmom and Grandpop, you're old, and you probably won't want to go on the rides with me. So let's go somewhere else. So she got back, and she went to a place I didn't even know existed. She decided she wanted to go to the lavender fields of southern France. And just as they are announced, they are lavender fields. And probably because I'd been to the other two places we went to before, Venice and Florence, but I'd never been there. And it was pretty amazing. If you like nature, I would highly recommend, and you get a chance to go there. As far as all adventures, all trips, this is the first one Judy and I have taken for a while that we kind of planned ourselves, and probably do it over. I would have gotten some professional help, but we didn't, and we survived, and we got back. And only injury was Audrey did fall on darkened steps and twisted her ankle, but it was on the next to last day, and she was a trooper, and we made it back. As far as for the show, I didn't get to spend a lot of time talking to people in France or Italy, but there were some common themes that came up. So for those of you who haven't been to Europe or talked to Europeans, share a little bit of that out. I guess the most common thing that I found for them is basically what the hell is going on in America. They don't understand it. They don't quite grasp. That was one thing. Secondly, I don't want to say amazed, but I really hadn't talked about that issue for a while. How many of them really did look to the United States as almost the shining beacon on the hill kind of thing, the bastion of democracy and freedom, and a place that they could rely on. And now they feel they can't. One of the waiters that I talked to quite a bit, he had been to the United States 10 times. His favorite place to go is Miami. Obviously, he's a party boy. But he said he will not be coming to the States until Donald Trump is no longer president. And then he will wait and see who is. Not unsurprisingly, that was another common thing. We're not coming, we're not going. Another very common thing was this is not the America we encountered when we came. Now we hear about it and it's something different. Most of the people, though, Brian, a lot of us are worried about our standing in the world. I think every European I talked to understood the difference between Donald Trump and the American people. The other thing that might be the most disconcerting thing that I heard while I was over there, they're also, the French and the Italians are worried about, they have candidates that are very much in the Trumpian mold, who are gaining some popularity. And some of that...
You're talking about in France, correct?
France and Italy, both.
And Italy.
And I was surprised because I thought I might find a little bit of a difference between the two, because obviously Trump is at war with just about everybody, but he's at least given 7 or 8 insults to the head of the Italian government. And of course, she's a woman, which, he has trouble dealing with, unless they're, I guess, 12 years old or something. But there really wasn't that much, difference where Italy, the Italians I talked to just were more concerned about the United States. A number of them had relatives over here. They were talking to them. But the one thing, and I think it played out very interestingly, while I was in Europe, of course, we've got the World Cup. So really, Europe was here. I mean, in some respects. And if you were following the World Cup at all, I followed it loosely. It was good because they got to see what Americans are really like. Unfortunately, Trump had to come in at the end and make it shit, which he does every time. But it was kind of good to see that from a distance. But again, there's no question that Europe's opinion of the United States is much different than it was even in Trump's. And it's just another reason why we have to get rid of Donald Trump. We have to. I don't know exactly how to go about it. I mean, I can not even suggest ways. I mean, there are possible ways. He could die tonight. Obviously, we're aware that politicians do not live forever, based on the news.
He might be the exception, though, in the way it feels.
Well, nobody.
And apparently McConnell's alive because he made a comment a few hours ago.
Yes, that we do know that now. Well, as Jim Morrison said, though, nobody gets out of here alive. So something's going to happen to him sometime. It's a question, and I think, well, I'm going to kind of reverse where we go. Usually we save it for the end, but I am much more concerned about America this week than I was when I left 2 weeks ago. And we'll talk about some of that. But I think we're just not getting any better. We're getting worse, not by the hour, but by the day. So what do you want to talk about today?
I'd first like to talk about the New York Times. Let me just quickly go to the webpage. I think that would be probably the best thing to look at. And I'm going to add you in, Dave, on the camera here. Let's move this up here, and we'll see this in a second.
Maybe,
right. Okay. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to bring you in, Dave. So your picture will be shown also. Okay. This will go overlays. Camera overlay. And Dave. Okay, so let me do a square here. And we're good to go. So you had these gentlemen here who wrote an article about the new Air Force One. Basically, this beautiful plane was only that. It was beautiful, but it did not have all the bells and whistles that need to go with a presidential plane, where you have to protection devices and whatnot, and then be able to refuel if you had a nuclear war and whatnot. So essentially, if this thing needs to be ready, they have to strip this thing down again. Who would pay for that? I mean, when you do these kind of things, you start from the ground up. This plane was not prepared in that way. So Trump, of course, is really pissed off that the news came out, and everybody, it's a laughing stock, this plane, because he can't even use it, except that we would assume that he will take that plane when his term is over. So these fellows here, Tyler Pager, Eric Lipton, Adam Goldman, Eric Schmidt, and Julian Barnes, the DOJ, at the behest of Trump and Kesh Patel, are going to investigate these people, how they got their information. Of course, Dave, being a journalist yourself, you don't give up your sources. I don't know what's going to happen. But this is almost as bad as actually it's worse than the reflection pool. This worries me, Dave, and you as a journalist, I think you can add a lot to this.
Yeah, and it should. First of all, of course, it raises First Amendment issues. Now, one of the problems with the First Amendment is people really don't understand it, because when I first started journalism, I didn't understand it. Basically, the First Amendment says about the press, Congress shall make no law restricting the press. Now, it doesn't mention the president, right? It doesn't say the government. It says Congress. So there are legal experts out there that say, President Trump is fine to do this. I disagree with them because I think the court has found that, there's two kinds of things. There's the Constitution and then how the court has interpreted the Constitution over the years. And they have kind of expanded it to government shall not, right? And that leads to another problem people have, and students even used to do this, funny, because they'll say, I have the right of free speech. Do you realize with any employer in America, you do not have the right of free speech? An employer can do anything they want in terms of curtailing your speech, and you have a choice to follow that or not. And if you choose not to, they can do whatever. So, but again, forgetting all that for a moment, there's always been the idea that the press is free to print as long as it does not fall under the slander, the libel laws, etc. And the real question here is, what the four reporters from the New York Times, is what they said accurate? And apparently it is. So we have a case of Trump just not liking something and moving to his intimidation and bullying tactics, which I do not think will hold up. But it doesn't mean he won't continue to do this and continue to do this and continue to do this. And at what point does that involve anyone who makes a remark critical of Donald Trump? Do they then run the risk of DOJ coming after them? And I think the answer now is yes. I think there are levels, okay? Obviously, the New York Times is bigger than Divided We Stand. So I don't see, coming down to that. But I think Trump, this is just my opinion for what it's, I think Trump realizes he's in serious trouble in a lot of ways. And so he's reacting and lashing out even more strongly. And this is one of those examples. So when you say troubling, you're absolutely right. It is definitely not good. Whether it will be, upheld in the courts, I don't know. I would hope. And I believe that the New York Times will fight it. Certainly as a reporter.
As they should. As they should.
And this is not even, like, if you look at the wording of it, this is not even like, okay, I guess I went to court, 3 times for not revealing sources. And, I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. But this is not, they don't want revealing the sources. I think this is just Trump being pissed off that this story made the rounds. And the proof is that they parked the damn plane in London and switched planes. I mean, that we know. So I don't get, why.
Well, apparently he already wants them to quickly retrofit the plane, which is not something you can do.
Everything the man wants, he wants done yesterday, which is why things are getting so bad. This is just another. This is another level of where he's carrying things. If that, I would agree, Brian. That's very disconcerting from a freedom standpoint. But there's also physical things he's doing. This one bothers me a lot. He is contemplating, and when he contemplates, he's just going to go ahead with it.
Right.
Building a wall around the White House. Now, okay. He's already pushed us out. The closest we can get is the edge of Lafayette Square Park, which is pretty far back. But now he's talking about a wall. And I'm assuming
that's what dictators do.
Well, exactly. But it's just so our myths were, a lot of our American myths, but we did kind of have the idea of the people's house. I mean, you couldn't just walk into the White House.
Right.
You could at one time. But basically now it's not the people's house. It's Donald Trump's house. He also put up already before the wall, he's covered the part of the White House that he's working on. And I don't know if you saw today, they released more aerial views, and it looks like the place has been bombed. It's that, they've got the destruction, you've got the idea of the grounds being destroyed because of his UFC, fiasco. It's cliched, but it is true. I keep saying it. He's like a King Midas in reverse. Every damn thing he touches turns to shit, including human beings. And I'd put in that category. Certainly, I was never a big fan of Lindsey Graham, but Lindsey Graham was a lot better senator, which is not saying a lot, before Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump just has that ability. And again, today I was doing a little bit more research about something, and I ran across Ray Cones. That's his mentor, McCarthy's a lawyer. And Trump follows those 6 things to example. And the first one is never, ever, ever apologize. And he will not. He does not admit he makes mistakes. Now, he's our president. I think there's a number of ways to look at that and attack it. Number one, there is still a question that hasn't been resolved. Did he really win the election?
Right.
Or did Elon Musk do something? And Trump himself indicated, if you remember, again, he doesn't know what he says, so you can't take too much value. But he basically says, in essence, he said, Elon did a really good job. He knows a lot about that stuff, and we won Pennsylvania. Does that mean that Elon,
because he only had to focus on 1 or 2 states to really be effective.
Well, and that was it. There's also that case, which I kind of lost track of. If anybody's out there tracking it, we should be, in New York. And basically, it was kind of like this. Like, okay, I'm making up the numbers, so the numbers aren't accurate. But say Biden won by 8,000 something in this area, and Kamala didn't even get the number of votes. Got 15 votes when you would expect thousands.
Right.
So we don't know that. That's number one on the election. But for what he is established as the president of the United States now.
If I had to bet one way or another, I mean, I'm not into conspiracies, but if I had to put my life on a bet, I'd say he cheated in some way.
Well, he does everything else, so I don't know why he wouldn't there.
Right.
What I see coming is the fact that you were one of the first on this, and I must give you credit for it. I was just being patient and waiting, but I think you were right. I'm not certain now that we will have midterms. I am certain the midterms, he'll try to do everything he can to screw them up. We're already
They're
seeing
in big
that.
trouble for the most part. If it's a legit vote, he's going to lose. I mean, meaning them.
I think that's a pretty safe prediction. And what happens is, though, he'll be joined by a lot of the Republicans because they don't win either,
Right.
in terms of that. Now, Lindsey Graham, there was some indication that he was in a little bit of trouble in South Carolina, but I think Lindsey would have pulled it off. Now they're going to put somebody else in. And here's where I deviate from some. Many are glad tonight that Lindsey Graham is no longer a senator. Two problems I have with that. One is the way they're. Sometimes I think some of the responses have been no better than Trump's. I mean, I understand, but that's not a fight you have. Lindsey's dead. Fine.
Right.
But the concern I have is who do they replace him with? You could get somebody far worse. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but and you could get somebody who's in their 30s. Lindsey wasn't going to be around for that much longer.
Right.
Now, so Trump should not be president because he challenged the election results, and he's continuing to do that. But I think overall, the reason he should not be president is he's not mentally competent to be president. He's not physically capable of handling the president. He So it's not even political now. If that were Joe Biden, if it were Barack Obama, if it were my mother, I would still say that the person, Donald Trump, is not mentally, stable enough to be president. But let's circle back to what we started with. Yes, you say the New York Times is just another example of Donald Trump getting mad and acting out. And I think it's evident that he's not surrounded by any people who bring up any kind of, Mr. President, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Right.
And I think in his first administration, he did have some of those people. And, maybe, it seems like he doesn't listen to anybody, but maybe once in a while. But I mean, think about it, Brian. Can you really think of anybody who's worse for Health and Human Services than RFK Jr.? Can you really think of anyone who's worse to run the military? Hegseth's big thing now, after he's taken out black military and taken out women military, is he's worried about beards. Come on. I mean, Hegseth, if he's not a drunk now, he didn't go to rehab. He's a drunk. You got him there, and you've now got Trump's personal attorney as the head of DOJ. I mean, the list it's just unbelievable.
Everyone's just as bad as the next.
Now, you want a little bit of ray of light in this? Lindsey Graham is dead, and that means there is a vacancy in the Senate, and the vacancy's on the Republican side. I don't think Mitch McConnell is coming back to the Senate anytime soon. I just don't, with his health. So now, if they can get 2 Republicans to switch sides on any vote, the Democrats win. So actually, I'm sure that South Carolina will do everything they can.
Yeah, well, they're going to, I think, choose in the beginning of January, whoever's going to take over. And I assume the guy's name's McMaster, not the military guy, but McMaster's going to decide who is going to be senator.
Again, but for this period of time, we'll look at every little benefit we can get. And so two guaranteed Trump votes are not there right now. We'll see what happens. Now, we're not the only ones seeing Trump falter. The Republican Party is seeing that, and they're not deserting his ship, but they are trying to put themselves in the best position possible. And of course, the 2 names that keep resurfacing are J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. That's like, do you want to die of cancer or do you want to die?
Well, don't you think, Dave, that whomever is chosen by the Republicans will be maybe just a sycophant for Trump? And there's like what Russia did with Medvedev. Like, they just had this guy who was now the president, but Putin was controlling him.
The only thing, I mean, yes, Trump will go out unless something unforeseen happens. Trump will go out with his 30% holding. Okay. They are Trump cultists. They are not Republicans. They would be with Trump if he were a Democrat. They would be with Trump if he were a communist. I mean, it doesn't, party ideology and policy does not enter into it. They're with Trump. Does that transfer to other people? I don't know. So if it doesn't, does Trump continue to pull the strings? But I would think, with either Vance, Rubio, or anyone of that nature, that they want to be their own president to a certain degree. So, again, we're going to have to watch this play out. And unfortunately, it's going to play out stupidly.
I just don't see him giving up any kind of power, even if he can't be president.
The only thing I would say about that is it's really hard to maintain power unless he's in the White House, physically in the White House. Because who's ever in the White House gets the mantle of that power.
That sounds logical.
It is logical.
These are new days,
I know that. But I think there's more of a chance of Trump, I think
everything before he goes.
I think his plan is that he will assure that the election does not go to the Democrats. They will not be that. He'll do everything in his power to do that. And if he can do that, he will do everything in his power to extend to a third term if he's able to walk. I think that's, that's going to be what we're going to see. Personally, I don't know, but the way his health is failing and his mind, I don't know. But of course, he'll stay there. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's not. They'll almost have to carry him out dead for him to give up the presidency, unless the Democrats can get enough to impeach. But then the impeachment doesn't mean anything to him either. He's been impeached twice. The key is, do you have the control of the Senate? Because they're the ones that can actually say, yes, Mr. President, you're gone. So is it dark? Yes. Can it get darker? Yes. Has it changed the country forever? Possibly. There's all these things to speculate on, and the thing that we know about Donald Trump is he does well, I don't want to say he does the unexpected, because sometimes expected. He never does the right thing. Let's leave it at that. That we know about him. I don't think he's done it since birth. I know he didn't do it, as a businessman. He certainly has not been a model of husband. He's not a model man. But he's got his supporters today. I don't know if you saw, it was kind of another one of those crazy religious zealot nuts women who actually came out and said that God told her that God has opened 2 portals, one over the White House and one over Mar-a-Lago, so he can speak to Donald Trump directly. Okay. If there were a God, I don't think he'd be speaking to Donald Trump, or Donald Trump isn't listening if he does. So, you've got a sick country. No, let me rephrase that. You've got a third of the country, absolutely. You've got a president who's sick. You've got a Supreme Court disaster. You've got a Senate that won't do what it's supposed to do. You've got a House that won't do what it's supposed to do. So where does that leave you?
Why even have the House? They don't get anything done.
Well, they're not in the foreseeable future. And again, there's all kinds of reasons behind that. The biggest one is the gerrymandered districts. Okay, and what do we mean by that? I think at last number that I saw, it was once 14, but now I think it's down to 9 districts in the United States are toss-ups, kind of. The rest all lean left or right, meaning Democrat or Republican. And the only thing you have to worry about is being primaried from your own party, right? If it's a Democratic district and a Democrat's in there, and we're seeing more and more of that. You're seeing it with the mayor of New York, you're seeing it with the mayor of Washington, D.C.
Does that mean, Dave, that the way the districts are set up, that generally conservatives don't like living near liberals and liberals don't like living near conservatives?
Oh, I don't think well, yes, that's part of it. But the other thing is, if you look at some of the gerrymandered districts, I mean, they go like this.
Oh, right. They're just
up here.
Absurd.
I mean, so it is true what you just said, Brian. It is true that we live in these echo chambers.
Right.
We live personally, geographically, in echo chambers for the most part. But we certainly live in the media echo chambers. You can pretty much tell a person's politics if you ask them a question. Do you watch Fox News? And if the answer is yes, you pretty much know. Now, there are a few people who say, but you have to. That's a bad question. You should ask, what is your primary source of news? Because people say, oh yeah, I watch Fox a little bit, but but I mean, it's almost a minuscule number of people who are not influenced by what they what they watch. Fox is not a news organization. We know that. But even there, you've seen Tucker Carlson walk away, and Tucker now is talking about starting a political party. You see Marjorie Taylor Greene walks away. She's talking about starting a political party. I think what may happen, and I could be wrong, I think what might happen is, I don't think they'll start two. I think they might start one together with Tucker running for president and Marjorie for vice president. And that would be great because they would siphon off some votes from the conservatives. Because really, anybody who sees it differently, I think they're wrong. We now have full-blown cult of personality. That's what we have. Ideology only matters in that, you're labeled this. And Trump, of course, is trying the ploy of communism. Now, we're going to show just how ignorant most Americans don't know the difference between socialist, Democrat, communist. They don't care because they have their own definitions. A fascist cannot be a communist by definition, right? A socialist cannot be a Democrat, but there are such things as socialist Democrats. But they're labels. But again, people, it's personality, labels, what's. And I would assume, and I'd be interested in some comments from people on this too, from our viewers, or later, watching live or later. Something I neglected to say about Europeans, and we talked quite a bit about that. They pretty much see the value of having, and they're kind of surprised how we only have two parties. I mean, most of the European countries have multiple parties. Mm-hmm. And why is that a good thing? Well, no one party can dominate. And think about this. If you were a Republican, right? You've been a lifelong Republican, you got a hard choice. Do you go with Trump if you know he's an idiot? Mm-hmm. You can't go Democrat, really. So do you become an independent? I mean, you're really lacking representation that way. And I mean, I don't feel sorry for you because you shouldn't have been a Republican in the first place. But, a lost group that I think we don't pay enough attention to, because they're not there anymore. There were such things as Republicans who were fiscally conservative, but with social programs not like they are now. You know what I mean? So you did have some of those. So they've lost. What am I looking at? That's a lost group. And who am I talking about? Like the John Lindsays and Nelson Rockefellers. The people like that. Right. The other thing kind of is related to politics. The money is too much. That's another reason why an independent party would really have a hard time. You're talking about now $1 million plus races in Congress. How are you going to raise $1 million, $2 million, $3 million? You got to have some rich donors, and nobody gives money without asking for something back. It just doesn't happen. Continuing to look with Trump, just everything he does is irkful. I see it, whenever I go into the district, and I'm not saying, but I mean, then it's right in your face. You see what happens. For example, I don't know if you saw, Brian. Yes, they're going to drain the reflecting pool. Right. But who's got the contract to fix it? The same
people
same people that was a no bid contract, which is illegal to do. Which, I mean, Trump just takes it. The corruption is, I mean, look, there's always been corruption in government, always, but never like this. Never, ever like this. And the point is, the other thing that really disturbed me while I was away as following was, his attack, or the 162-page report on the wrongness of the history displayed in the Smithsonian. I go there frequently. It is not. What Trump wants to do, and his leading is, he just cares about white people's reputations. No, he doesn't. He cares about his own. He doesn't care about any single person other than himself, including his children, including his 3 wives. He just doesn't care. But he gives that to his supporters because they, I mean, really, Brian, I don't get it. I mean, okay, there was slavery. What are you gonna do? Say there wasn't?
Right.
There was, actually genocide in a way against Native Americans. What do you say? It wasn't? And if you say that, or immigrants, how do you explain the grandfather that was just gunned down in Houston by ICE? He was the wrong. I mean,
No
he wasn't
cameras
even
either, right? This time.
No, and that to think about that. I mean, well, think about it. For any thinking person, if you were being chased by somebody who didn't identify them as a law enforcement official, would you pull over?
Right.
I mean, no. And not to be livid, to me, is just proving you're not a true American. If you're not outraged, and you see a lot of the articles now and stuff. Well, there'll be an end, and we got to get back. I don't know, Brian. I don't want to get back with them. I don't know about you. I don't really. I don't really want. I don't respect them. I know. Oh no, we were never united.
That is the nature of politics. It divides political. Just
well,
politics
of course.
means there's a division.
Well, do the same thing with religion. I mean, anytime you get an organization, the Rotary, Rotary is not Kiwanis. It's not. I'm not saying they're all at the level of, but when you only have 3 kinds of people, Republicans, Democrats, and those that don't, or that claim their independence. I guess you could literally say 4. There are some independents, and then people who just don't vote. So why don't you, this is also a show where we talk a little bit about personality. Why don't you talk about a little bit now, since this is the first time I've been back, no, it's like a second time, that you've been retired. How are you finding retirement, Mr. Weinstein?
Well, as I told you, Dave, today I had a dream that I had to go back to work, and I literally wake up in the morning thinking that, I'm going to have these responsibilities, and then I think it through after I'm up for a minute or two, and I think, wow, I don't. This is it. This is this wonderful period. I mean, I know it's in the last phase of my life, but it's in the early last phase, which really should be the best part of my life. But it's really all the things I wanted to do, mainly 2 things. That is, all the things I do with Russian, studying, reading, communicating with people. And the second thing is, of course, is music. That you and I both, we played in a group together. We played many times together, and both of us enjoyed that immensely, and we enjoyed creating music. But you didn't have the time because you had to go back to work. You have so many things to do, and now it's everything that I wanted to do when I was 21 or 22, and say, wow, I can just sit in my room and play guitar or whatever. So it's a completely different mindset, and I think I just tell myself, Dave, that I've earned it. I mean, I really have earned it.
Again, a number of the people who watch this, or either, as I say, live or later online, they're not retired, and it's one of those things. I tell people, it's one of those things until you get there. It's like most of the other things in life. Like, you don't know what it's like to be married until you're married. You don't know what it's like to be divorced until you're. I mean, something you can, think about it, but until it becomes your reality, and it is a wonderful thing to have that freedom to do. But with it comes some other things. You have, some economic, maybe, certain people, those kinds of things come in. I'm just looking at some of the questions here, or some of the comments. So first of all, I want to say not a shout. I just want to say to Anthony, I think I'm speaking for Brian and myself. We hope that your wife gets better. I mean, one of the nice things about this is you look, this has become a family. And I mean, Lord help the family if you and I are the patriarchs of it, and we're not. But It's nice, and people. I'm looking at some of the comments toward Anthony. One that I think again is not true, but I've seen it online quite a bit today. Did Fetterman switch parties officially? No, he did not yet, as far as I know. So that's another thing, though, Brian, that it's not really related to Trump, but it was on his watch, I guess. You can't believe anything you read. Have you been watching? Go online tonight, just a little bit, everybody, and see the conspiracy theories about the death of Lindsey Graham.
Right. Because they're already saying
Russians killed him. It's just like, can't anybody wait? But then again,
well, then Trump's won in that sense, because we just don't know. We don't know anymore.
And that's exactly
we go
right.
in our own cocoons, and then.
But just when you say no, then something does happen. That does show that. One of the things that I read this week, and I've read a couple other times, just a comment made, and this is interesting. So I'm going to ask you, Brian, your thoughts on it, because I can't figure it out. Trump complains about everything, right? I mean, in his area, right? If you least bit slight him, he's never said anything about the 3 assassination attempts. I mean, in terms of, gee, I didn't like that guy who tried to kill me. What does that mean? I don't know. It might not mean anything. I don't know. But it's just interesting. The standpoint. Now he uses it.
Depressing all of it.
He uses it, well, I need this. And now, again, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you saw the effigy they burned of Trump in Iran. But their leaders have said, one of our number one priorities is to kill Donald Trump. So we'll see. Because again, I don't know that they can. I mean, Donald Trump is a very well protected man, as the president should be. And I'm sure at this point, knowing him, that any Secret Service agent that he even mildly suspected of not being a loyalist to take the bullet, he doesn't have around him anymore. Right. But again, we're talking about the incompetence. Kash Patel comes out and says, instead of, he says the FBI is going to help investigate Lindsey Graham. The guy died. I mean, maybe the Russians did kill him. I don't know. But it's just, we just live in a very bizarre time.
Yes.
Which gets more bizarre. And people are just tired.
They're exhausted.
It's discouraging. I bet you the majority of Americans' blood pressures are higher than they were in terms of
depression.
And absolutely. All those things. And you and I were talking briefly today. We really don't get a chance to talk much. We've got some other problems on the horizon, not directly related to Trump, but as long as he's there, they're not going to be solved. One is education. It's really in trouble. And then you've got this specter of AI. It's again, many of the writers that I talk to, I'm never going to use it. Well, I'm not one of those. I use it, but I use it for certain things. But I'm very much convinced that AI, well, this is a stupid kind of analogy. Okay, there were many people employed, monks mostly, when there wasn't, printing press. They wrote everything out by hand. And that was done. Is that going to happen to certain jobs? I think yes. And what are you going to replace? How are you going to replace them? I think the other thing with AI, and Trump, doesn't even know what AI is. But the other thing is there are going to be different kinds of jobs this time. Higher pay, higher level jobs. I've already read, and I believe it's probably true, there's no reason to employ a computer programmer because AI already can
do the programming.
And you don't think businesses are going to, they're going to hide behind something else, but they're going to cut costs. And what is the most costly thing for a business? Employees.
Right. And that's where they can make their profit. And that's one thing we never learn in business classes in college. I mean, there's two general ways we can make a profit, and that can be through the product or service, but you can also make profit off your own worker and just pay them less. So, but they don't print things like that, but that's really what happens.
Again, we have these myths about America that were never true for all. Uh, all men are created equal. No, never was. And the founders, when they said all men, they had a different definition of men than we have. It was white landowning men, and you could say they probably all were. They weren't even equal.
But on the other hand, they were quite clear about the division between, government and religion, and for some reason,
absolutely.
Playing this game.
But again, that's been, that has been. There was one today on the Bible that I just wanted to mention, and it was they were talking about a group of evangelicals who were saying marriage is between a man and a woman, and anything else is abomination. In the Bible, there are many characters had multiple wives. Okay, many characters had concubines. There are all kinds of, it never said anything in there, but they believe, they hear that that's what God intended, and that's what they do.
Well, I'm not a big fan of God, as you know, and even God himself is not the nicest guy in the world,
Well, again,
send you to hell forever for just not believing in him and all this kind of shit. Jesus.
Well, and I think, again, the last comment I will make tonight comes from my discussions with not hundreds, but a few of the Europeans that I talked to. And we all agreed on one thing. It was interesting. It's not the people that are the problem. It's religion, it's the government, it's the rich, it's the institutions. But how Occupy movement proved, you have to have some of this, but unfortunately it attracts some of the worst.
So people, the last vestige is to take to the streets, and that's a tough choice.
Albania did it, but we don't.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that works out even there. Dave, I'm going to shut down right now, okay? But we will be on, and you and I will discuss a little bit later this week as far as what we want to do, as far as coming on multiple times. But for everybody, Dave and I are planning on doing some changes here. So.
For people that that do watch the show, I really am going to ask this seriously, because Brian and I have time now. We want to do some different things. If you have some suggestions to make it better, my suggestion would be to get rid of Brian, but that might not be your suggestion.
I like that.
No, but the idea of it is, we don't work in a vacuum, and we don't have all the ideas. So, for anybody, I would value, and I know you would too, Brian. Suggestion doesn't mean we can implement them, but it means we can at least consider.
Consider, right? Hey, look, we have to be open-minded, because at this point we need each other, because this is frightening. It's very depressing, and you don't even have to ask me that question again today, Dave. I'm very pessimistic.
No, I will ask, and we know. Tonight, I think we've indicated that neither one of us are more optimistic than we were 2 weeks ago when we were together, and it's really hard. What I will say, it's not optimism, but Trump will not live forever. But the question is, how much damage has he done
That is
already? And how long will it take for us to get out of it? And what happens if we don't get somebody who is in direct opposition? In other words, a Republican wins the presidency.
Right.
Then, game over, maybe. I don't know.
It's a strange country these days, Dave.
Certainly is.
I feel like I'm sitting in that restaurant. Remember, you told me when you watched Easy Rider, and that scene where they go into the diner. That is basically what we're facing right now.
And again, talking about that movie itself and how it hit me at my age, at that age I saw it, I was, 17? When I walked out of that theater, I wanted to find a redneck and take them out. And there's times when I feel that now. And interesting enough, they're pretty much the same people, not the rednecks.
But they're essentially
basically.
They would have been MAGAs, whoever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Dave. Good seeing you back. I'm going to sign off, everybody. Thanks a lot. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, and click that notification bell, because we will be more active. That is a promise. And it will be better. We're going to get better. We'll figure this thing out. And, yeah.
Thank you,
right.
everyone, as always, for watching. And just remember, 99.4% of the problems are caused by the one guy.
Okay. I'll take that blame. Adios.